guys ready? You got 10
Who's
minutes.
doing the?
Unfortunately, me, and I
Okay,
kind of
good.
forget a little bit, so feel free to jump in. I've read like 6 books since this one, but we're recording The Serpent and the Wings of Night, which is a fantasy novel. I would say it's kind of new adult, 18, I would say probably 16 plus. It's not YA, but it's also not like as raunchy as the court series. This follows main character Oraya. Is that right? Oraya?
I think so.
Something like
Okay.
that.
Raya, I don't know.
Oraya. All right. Names are hard.
Oraya.
It follows the main character, Oraya or Ora, who was adopted at a very young age from the king of Naxia. Basically, he found her and decided to take her home. The rest of her family was dead, maybe killed by him, you don't know. But she went to live in the palace with him. And the main thing is that he's a vampire, and the whole community or kingdom are basically vampires, and they use humans as a source of food. And so she's a human living in this castle filled with vampires. And so from a very young age, she had to be very smart and very very much trained on how to like protect herself and stay hidden and more in solitude. So she didn't live a normal childhood life. So this story then kicks off kind of like Hunger Games style, where she's going to fight in this tournament in the kingdom. And if you win the tournament, then you get granted a wish from like one of their gods. And so it follows her starting the tournament, making some allies, and then going through the battles. And that's where I'll leave it so we don't do any spoilers. But I rated this a B minus. I was so let down because I had such high hopes. It has great Goodreads ratings. It has really great Amazon reviews, and it's all anyone could talk about on Book Talk. But I really just felt like it was another fantasy book. Like nothing crazy stood out to me where I was like, this is an amazing book. I have to read it again. I have to recommend it to anyone. The writing was meh, and the story was like, has already been told before. So that's my opinion. Liz, what's yours?
I rated it a C plus for the same reasons you did. I love a fantasy book, but this one like didn't like capture my attention throughout the whole thing. And I also rated it a little bit lower because I don't know why, but vampires and like the biting stuff just like creeps me out. I can't. I feel very uncomfortable. I don't like it.
Fair. Liz, you get a pick now. We'll do it like popcorn style.
Steve, what did you rate the book?
I'll give it a C plus. Uh, Story's already been told before. It's just a mix between Twilight and The Hunger Games. Just put those two books together, and then you have this book. Not original. Writing wasn't good. I didn't think she was that likable of a character. She has this thing where we taught she her language is just like so foul, which like normally I don't mind like bad language, like that's fine, but it's like every other word was the F word, and I'm just like, this isn't good writing. Um yeah, story's been told before, nothing original, and I was let down as well. I honestly thought it was going to be a lot better, and I think I thought I would like it a lot more, but it's just another book, just another fantasy book. So would not recommend.
You have to pick
Andrea.
Andrea now.
I went with B minus. It reminds me a lot of Throne of Glass. So the first book is all about this competition, and then I started the next book, and it's like completely different than the first book. I thought the writing style of the first book was just boring. Like I did not like her writing style at all. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't have anything really different to say than what you guys have said. Um, I liked it enough to get the second one though and give it a try. So, yeah.
Have
B
you
minus.
finished the second one?
No, I'm
You're
like
like,
halfway.
you'll have to let us know if we should read the second. But I thought that this might have been her first book That's how the writing kind of seemed. Like maybe she was a newer author and didn't have like maybe a ton of editors or other people to come in and help like craft the story a little bit better. But it's not. She has other books. So I don't know, kind of confused too. Because like Steve said, there's a lot of cussing at like really random moments where you just don't need it sentence after sentence. It kind of seemed like she was relying on that to make the main character seem really badass. But in the same instance, the main character is going around killing everyone. So she doesn't really need to add that on top.
She also like repeated a lot of the same words, like adjectives and stuff would just be repeated over and over. Like some of their sayings, they would just say over and over. I was like, oh my God, why are we saying this again?
That reminds me of
like a. No, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say that reminds me of Twilight, like Steve said. Like I feel like Twilight was like that, like the same adjectives over and over again. Steve, go for it.
It kind of seemed like a cash grab to me. Like it seemed like the book was hastily written, and I don't know for certain, but it wouldn't surprise me if the book was written hastily, and then the hope was that it's going to become some big major fantasy series because it uses a lot of the same storylines and the same ideas as like the really big media, Twilight, Hunger Games, and it didn't pan out or whatever. But it kind of seemed like a cash grab to me, like an easy. I think any one of us could have written a book that is on par with this, and we're not authors by any means.
Maybe we are, Steve. Maybe we're like secret authors you don't know about.
We should collaborate on a book together.
They actually did that on a series that Anne read, right?
The sisters.
Yeah, two sisters.
There's a
read.
couple. Yeah, there's a couple books like where they have multiple authors. There's one that I haven't read. It's like by PC Cast, and it's a bunch of different people. I think.
Can you imagine how like all over the place our book would be with like all 7 of us and our different like backgrounds and personalities?
I don't think it'd be
So
very good.
confusing.
We could do it like Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants style.
Oh my God. I don't think we're the most imaginative bunch, you guys.
Whenever we got to John's chapter, there'd just be a bunch of violence.
Everyone would be dead by John's chapter.
We're like, dang it, John, you can't kill off all the main characters.
Next person just has to start all over from scratch.
Maybe we should do that. That'd be fun.
Can we do spoilers real quick?
Yeah, let's do spoilers. I'm down.
So the only spoiler thing I was gonna say is that like normally in books, I find the whole like forced marriage thing like super interesting and fun. Like I like that. But at this one I didn't even like that part. So I just wanted to complain about it.
You think forced marriage is fun and interesting?
Like as part of like the like it's like a fantasy genre, like Serpent and Doves like that, where like they're like
trope.
Yeah, it's like a trope, right? It's just because of some like situation, like the characters have to get married even though they don't want to. And it's interesting. It's kind of fun. But yeah.
I did think the twist at the end was kind of interesting. Like how I guess it's not really a twist, but he was, the ultimate secret ruler. But then it kind of seemed that his own community wasn't really supporting him. So at the end, I was like, I don't even know if this guy's safe. I don't know if either of them are safe anymore. I thought maybe he would be like the rebel leader and everyone loved him, but that wasn't the case.
I also liked how it ended up like implying that she was like half vampire and her dad was really her dad. I thought that was like super interesting and they totally like glossed over it.
Well, it was a secret.
But at the end, they should have talked more about it and explained like what happened and like why. Like that was just like she kind of just like guessed it and like went on with her life.
That's true.
But one last point too is she doesn't really build up the world around her. Like I think it's an interesting world, but she kind of just drops you into it, and there's all these terms, and on superficially it seems like there's a ton of lore and it's an interesting world, but then it's never really hashed out that much. I felt like
some things don't make sense too. Like I thought it was really odd how they're taken to this place for the tournament, right? But then sometimes the main girl can just leave and like she goes back to the streets of her hometown and is like killing vampires again. It's kind of because like in Hunger Games, like they're all transported and they have to stay in this arena or type place until the tournament's done, but these people can just come and go as they please. It's odd.
She basically just kills a lot of. She does games and she kills vampires at night. She's like, yeah, it's kind
And
of
she's
weird.
very standoffish. Like she doesn't really like people. Like we just described the whole book, Steve. Like
I know, and to people who watch this, if you want to know how it ends, just watch the Hunger Games. And surprise, there's two contestants at the end, and one sacrifices for the other, and they both live happily ever after. Same exact.
Yeah.
Same exact plot.
they do get. Do they get married, forced into marriage in Hunger Games too at the end?
Not forced, but I think they fall in love, don't they? I don't remember.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's been too long since I've seen that.
In Twilight, they don't get forced into marriage, but they do get married. But it is very similar. So that's this book, Serpent and the Wings of Night. What a title. Would not recommend, unfortunately. But maybe the series is better. Maybe the first one you just have to get through. But
I think the second one's better, and I'm only halfway done, so I'll let you know.
Review it for us when you're done, Anne.
perfect.